The fourth cardinal sign of the zodiac, Cancer. The archetype of Cancer, the shelled crab, demonstrates the need of the native to domesticate a routine lifestyle through the use of common physical resources to the more privileged use of social resources borrowed from friends and relatives. The common needs of human existence become more pronounced and apparent within the boundaries of this sign, so that the native can often feel exposed in an uncomfortable manner, since at this symbolic stage of the zodiological cycle there takes place the imminent need to consume in order to sustain the physical human lifestyle. To that degree, the symbol of the crab is a symbol of the universe feeding itself, which goes along with all the attendant challenges of supply and demand and the territorial battles that may ensue. Thus, the symbol of the crab and its claws as weapons of defense. Faced with this responsibility of sustaining the self, the native of this sign can undulate between the extreme roles of outspoken confidence to the shameful depths of personal humiliation. Given to the acute realization of their own needs, the native can more often than not dedicate themselves to the activity of mothering, as it reflects their inner need to be nurtured themselves, and because the nurturing instinct is so natural to the plane of human existence anyway, that they fulfill this role easily and with devotion. At this stage of the cycle, an emotional, non-verbal element of being predominates, creating a very instinctual set of reactions per these natives, which can manifest in a fiery and irrational temper if their own inner reactions are not disciplined enough to see past the challenges of the prevailing events. For that matter, one should be sure that there is an implied and polished kind of familiarity when dealing with many of these natives, just to be sure that all personal reactions are understood between the two parties. The constellation of Cancer is well known to be a newcomer to the zodiac, since perhaps the times of Babylon, and was later emphasized with the Romans. In Egypt it was known to be a scarab beetle. The word Cancer is said to be derived from the Greek karkinos, meaning crab. However, I have also personally noticed a correlation to a Mesopotamian word signifying the entrance to the underworld, which was called the Ga'anzer. Interestingly enough, this sign was regarded as an entrance to the underworld within the Roman astronomic cosmologies. Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer bases his philosophical faith of salvation by consolidating the differentiated impersonal elements of life into a personalized living experience of wholeness. This is usually done through the cultivation of traditional values of home and family. Ideally, their supportiveness of the human experience permits the influence of kindness, generosity, and moral principle to all those that are to be found within their family home. The nature of their moral teaching is maternal in nature, deriving in part from their early upbringing, or perhaps their lack of it, wherein they seek to fulfill what was not achieved in their youth. Emotional fulfillment is deliberately sought through the company of others in a cooperative setting with individuals who can help them attain their goals and sustain their current lifestyle or religious belief system. Their conservative, security-oriented nature can end up insulating them from the world abroad, wherein everything that has been established by them may end up being only an insulated end in itself. Therefore, the need to extend trust and breed familiarity abroad would become the challenge in bringing people closer to them. With Jupiter in Cancer, the terms may include the opportunity to be less emotionally inhibited than is usually the case with this sign. The fifth fixed sign of the zodiac, Leo. The archetype of Leo the lion demonstrates the natural abilities of the individual which has surmounted the challenges of endurance and that now have become fluent in their range of personal expressions. In their foremost recognized form, these personal abilities are often either considered creative or political, but in any case they are considered as skills and tools in the open social forum where true results are often to be observed and personal recognition is finally to be acquired as a reward for their proper use and expression. To this degree, Leo is truly like the summer sun, which has surmounted the seasonal challenges of the months beforehand to finally rise and dominate the astronomical scene as the most powerful light found within the sky above all. This collective standpoint at the heights of the summer sky indicates that the graces of this position are dependent upon the inclusion and overall recognition of the group at large, which the Leo native willfully submerges himself in for the truly socialistic communion that is sought after in the form of basic approval or acquired social positions. For that matter, part of the creativity of this sign apart from art is that of socializing and the integrative process that follows such an endeavor. In some cases, this may include sacrificing certain personal interests, which at this stage of the cycle are taken as a needed practicality. However, this can result in superficiality since one's standards may be conforming to the matters of social acceptance. As well, this may be done for the purpose of courting the opposite sex, and so much so that the sign of Leo also has a strong link to sexuality, procreation, and the strategy of dating games. But for that matter, the sign makes good use of current social trends by putting them to use in the commercial arena. On a corporate level, this is the innovative marketer who knows the usefulness of a product and how it should be distributed to the masses. On an independent level, this is the realm of the artist whose insights and inspirations become the great works of art that are fashioned out of a sense of creativity as the fundamental dynamic of all being. With this inner faith, they may pave their way to success with undaunting positivism, never doubting their role as an artist and the rewards that are born out of such a sought-after creative union with the community at large. The images of lions, tigers, and other large cats have historically been perceived in the various areas of the stellar firmament as constellations by the ancient stargazers throughout the world. The constellation of Leo merely represents one particular version of a stellar cat. However, in this case, the power of the lion's image within the zodiac is reinforced by its association with the summer solstice sun historically occurring while being within those stars. Jupiter in Leo. Jupiter in Leo bases his philosophical faith of salvation on the ability to provide leadership to those around him in a shared display of talent and personal dignity, which ideally reflects the generous and concerned spirit of a recognized community leader. With their personal sense of integrity, they are able to inspire enthusiasm in others while remaining happy unto themselves, since to them the principle of having a good time tends to outweigh monetary benefits. These natives are capable of radiating warmth and genuine affection to those around them, and for that matter they may make admirable teachers, although the excitement of the entertainment business may be more to their liking. In any case, being a part of the spotlight, and indeed providing some of the spotlight for others, is where their sole purpose is to be found. Recognition for their work and deeds are paramount in reinforcing their personal progress within their field, and so for that matter they will often have a lot to say for the work and accomplishments of others as well. Traditionally, this is also a placement associated with the love and nurturing of children, since Leo is capable of accepting all that is engendered through love. However, I feel this is a generalization and that this aspect may be more fitting of the female with this position. Their liking of doing things on a lavish and ceremonial scale explains their special love of religious pageantry that is expressed through the study of cultural traditions and the works of art that follow, since the spirit of Leo brings us back to the self-created precept of all existence. For that matter, a depth of spirit may prevail, which allows for an innate understanding of religious and spiritual concepts in the world of ancient art and its application to the stage of life. The image of the righteous king devout to his community is a symbol of Jupiter in Leo, which is expressed in the Aztec Xihuitzoli-Pachoa starglyph at the center of this work. Moreover, it is in fact stated through written sources that this planet and sign position was traditionally instituted as the official house and symbol of the god Zeus Jupiter in the ancient cosmologies from Greece and Rome. The sixth mutable sign of the zodiac, Virgo. The archetype of Virgo the Virgin demonstrates the reprieve of creativity in its various forms for the purpose of further analysis, which in turn is meant to give creativity additional grounding and purpose. Creativity is action in every one of its forms, and thus in its wake eventually creates some degree of disorganization. The true motive of all creation is to organize. Therefore, the principle of analysis seeks to improve the pattern of organization, which must in itself have some degree of neutrality in order to endure. Virgo, as the antithesis of Leo, seeks to realign man's self-centered creative activity back to the natural order through a persistent form of self-analysis. The most immediate form of analysis, however, can result in discrimination, which on a materialistic level can indeed often bring about the required and sought-after result, while on a social level it may only amount to the negative and debilitating judgments that can hinder personal growth of all parties involved. However, this extreme corrupted form of discrimination is only an attempt at reaching the state of purity within, which is sensed as a potentiality and found in the physical universe without. Thus, we have been given the old axiom from Virgo's side of the zodiac that cleanliness is next to godliness. Also, as serving in the antithesis of Leo's previously self-centered creativity is Virgo's dedication to the common cause of work, although this may amount ultimately to the expected result of materialistic rewards, perhaps in the form of domestic security for a job or a home in general. This makes sense, as the withdrawal from the spotlight of Leo would result in the more private domestic needs of the common man, just as surely as the summer sun begins to give way, being lowered towards the horizon of the house of the earth as the sun enters Virgo. The exacting and critical outlook of the Virgo consciousness is the result of the shortening of the boundaries of light and time that occur as the sun begins to head towards the autumnal equinox. The narrowing boundary shocks the consciousness into new habitual patterns, but also may result in a narrowness of mind that cannot understand details beyond what it understands details to be. The constellation of Virgo is known as being among the oldest contributions to the zodiac, and which also, for its long life, has always been related to the feminine qualities of healing and the goddesses found within the beginnings and beyond the times of ancient Mesopotamia. At one point around 6000 BC, this is where the summer solstice had occurred, which celebrated the fecundancy of the earth goddess during those times, when the universe as a whole was being perceived as an effeminate womb of life. This is to say, once more, that there were other forms of the goddess to be found in the heavens. It is only because of the recent distinction of Virgo, which currently ends the summer months in our times, that the earth goddess is most frequently recognized as the sign of the Virgin. Jupiter in Virgo. Jupiter in Virgo bases his philosophical faith of salvation on the ability to apply knowledge to the everyday task of practical existence. Preferring to demonstrate their belief system by the way they live, and as well as by what they own, they grow tired of those who cannot provide the same kind of materialistic result. For that matter, their faith is verified through the acquisition of material rewards, which can be demonstrated as a form of practical achievement to the rest of the world, and they expect others to do the same by following the way of the status quo, which is supposed to provide recognition and security to those who deserve it. For instance, if an idea does not follow the popular or prevailing expression found within a current trend, it may simply be rejected. However, aside from the materialistic inclinations of Virgo, this position can nonetheless obtain a high moral regard for the principle of service to others. For that matter, realizing the potential and applicability of the learned perspectives of others around them should help them to realize that usable information is not simply a brand of truth that has been verified by the specialists from within the world's institutions to be safely distributed among the masses who cannot be trusted on their own accord.